All right, folks, on today's Field Tips, we're going to talk about layering your clothes for changing weather conditions. And if you'll stick around towards the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how you can get a heck of a deal on some merino wool. All right, so what we're going to do today is just talk a little bit about what works best for me in the places that I hunt. But a lot of what we're going to cover is applicable no matter where you're at or what type of hunting you're doing. Now, when we start talking about specific pieces of clothing, this is something that you're going to probably want to tailor to your specific conditions, whatever you're dealing with. Now, I hunt elk at relatively high elevations where you can have pretty dramatic temperature swings in the course of a day. We're talking about 50 to 60 degrees difference from morning till midday is really not that uncommon. And then also the weather conditions can change like that. Now, as I've mentioned in other videos, I don't like to carry a bunch of stuff with me. I like to be lightweight, I like to be mobile. And so the layers that I do have with me need to be versatile enough to deal with those changing conditions. And when it comes to versatility, you cannot beat merino wool. Merino is like a miracle fabric. Unlike any other fabric on the planet, merino has the ability to keep you warm when it's cold, cool when it's hot. It maintains its loft and its insulating ability even when it's wet. It is dead quiet and it does not stink. And these last two features are something that I've found in the type of hunting that I do to be extremely important. All right, so let's talk a little bit about noise. One of the things that I pride myself on is being able to get consistently close to big game. And when you start talking about penetrating that hyper-aware bubble that all big game seems to carry around with them, there really is no margin for error. And as you get closer and closer, the difficulty of just existing there without being found out increases exponentially. Having clothing that is silent is very, very important, especially if you're a bow hunter and you're trying to draw your bow to get a shot at that animal. If you've got on a jacket or something that is rustling, scraping against brush, scraping against itself with an animal that close, and you're drawing your bow, you're probably going to get busted. All right, so what about smell? This is something that I'm asked about pretty regularly, is what do I do for scent control? And quite honestly, that's it. I wear merino wool. For the type of hunting that I do a lot of the times, which is extended backcountry hunts, taking a bath every day, washing clothes every day, or doing a lot of the other things that the whitetail guys back east really are big on, just isn't practical. And so for me, elk season is an absolute grind. I'm up at 4 a.m., I'm rarely in bed by 10, and I do that day after day after day. And I can wear this stuff for weeks without a proper wash, and it just doesn't stink. Merino wool doesn't allow the bacterial growth that causes body funk. And so literally you can wear it day after day after day after day and just not stink. If you tried that with synthetic, you're probably gonna get kicked out of camp. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the specific pieces of clothing that I like. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I hunt elk at relatively high elevation, and the temperature at night can go well below freezing. And of course, it's gonna remain that way early in the morning when I leave camp. And so one of the things that I normally always have on are a base layer, long underwear, and this fused top here. Now, the long underwear, I just wear that, and then over the top of that, I usually have the obsidian pants on. Now, most of the time, like I said, I always have those on. On rare occasion, I have just stripped them off, stuck them in my pack, but they wick out moisture so well that it's usually not necessary even if it warms up. Now, like I said, I have those things on all the time. I sleep in them. It gets freaking cold up there, and even in a 0-degree sleeping bag, I get hot and cold pretty easily, and so I wear that and my top and pretty much don't take them off for weeks at a time. Up top, for my base layer, I have this fused crew here. This is a long sleeve. Now, if it's going to be really warm, maybe the wick top or the wick short sleeve would be a little bit better choice. But for the type of hunting that I do and the conditions that I hunt in, this fuse works out really good. And then the other thing is this, it's a quarter zip. I really like the quarter zips because if you're really chugging up a hill, you can zip this thing down, get some airflow, and not overheat. So that brings up something that I really want to point out and emphasize about layer management. The reason we wear layers is so that you can take them off and put them on. So do that. When I hunt, when I get up in the morning, a lot of the times I have to climb 1,000, 1,500 feet just to get above the elk. And when I start that climb, a lot of the times I'll just strip everything off except for the base layer up top. Now it might be 20 degrees out there and you're cold if you haven't started generating body heat, but once you start that climb, you're gonna warm up really quickly. And the great thing about Merino is as you're climbing, you're gonna be generating a lot of body heat and moisture through perspiration. And that body heat, if you just have your base layer on, is gonna dissipate really quickly and it's gonna carry that moisture with it. And so when you get to the top and slow down, you're gonna be dry and you can throw those other layers on and be comfortable for the rest of the day. So over the top of the base layer down bottom, I like the Obsidian pants. They are merino wool, so they're quiet. They fit really well, and they have some stretch to them, so you're not fighting against the pants if you're climbing up a hill. All right, so I like to have two more layers for up top. One of them is usually just a heavier quarter zip. Now this year it's gonna be the Kiln hoodie, which basically is the same thing that I've got on here. It's just a little bit heavier, and again, it's a quarter zip. And that in combination with the base layer is what I wear most of the time. Now, in addition to that, I'll either have an Uncompadre puffy or a vest. Now, most of the time, these things are gonna stay in my pack unless I'm sitting still or it's very, very cold. Both the vest and the puffy are very warm layers and they're great to carry with you, but most of the time, those things stay in my pack. They are synthetic layers and they're not as quiet as the merino, so I don't like to wear them unless I have to. If I'm sitting still or it's very, very cold, I'll pull those things out. Now with that said, I have killed several animals while wearing them. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about camo. Now, one of the basic functions of camo is to break up the human outline, the human form. But even with a good camo pattern, it oftentimes kind of falls a little bit short. Now, one of the things that I like to do is to mix and match patterns. If you've watched any of my hunting videos, you'll see me oftentimes wearing like a solid bottom and a camo top or something like that. And I just feel like that just goes one step farther in helping to break up that form. All right, so now that we've covered all that, I'm gonna tell you how you can get a smoking deal on some merino wool. So September 3rd and 4th only, First Light is having a major sale to get the hunting season started. So go over to firstlight.com, pick out some great hunting clothes, save a boatload of cash, and don't stink your hunting buddies out of camp. We'll see you next time.